Fez. Ron and Fez.
Okay, good. You're in for that, right?
Ron and Fez.
Broadcasting live. It's the Ron and Fez Show. And I'm your announcer, Mikey D. And now, let's introduce your hosts. The guys who think when Hilary Clinton wrote that she wanted to wring Bill's neck, Monica Lewinsky was choking another part of his body. Here they are, Ron Bennington, Fez Whatley, radio's Oval Office.
Ron!
Fez! Ron and Fez!
Hey!
I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell. I could have used a little more cowbell. I gotta have more cowbell. Action. I gotta have more cowbell. I could have used a little more cowbell. I got a fever, and the only prescription is more cowbell.
On cowbell, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye. Buddies.
Oh, buddies, it's the Ron and Fez Show on WJFK. I'm Ron. There's Fez. Let's get started, Fuzzy.
How you doing, buddies? Hillary Clinton's book. It's due out June 9th, Living History. And now we're starting to get the juicy excerpts. Everything we wanted to know that was going on with the Monica Lewinsky affair. The main quote we're all hearing is, Hillary said, as a wife, I wanted to wring Bill's neck. She also said that when they left for Martha's Vineyard, Buddy the dog was Bill's only company. And August 15th, 1998, when Bill told her that the story about Monica was true, she started crying, yelling, got more furious by the moment. And Bill, all he could do was keep saying, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right, at the Vineyard, she sleeps upstairs, he sleeps downstairs. Like that's any different from any other night with those guys. Fez, is this the real story? Is this the way it all went down, you think?
This is nowhere near the real story whatsoever. When Hillary went on the Today Show, and this is a vast right-wing conspiracy, she knew then it was real. She knows everything about Bill.
I don't know. I disagree. I think she, a woman wants to believe. And, a lot of times you come home stinking of perfume. You can get away with all kinds of things. The guys that get caught don't try and lie. But I'll say this, she has 8 million reasons to tell the truth now.
I like the fact that she's talking about her book and she says, you know what, this is nice. It lets people know how I grew up and where I grew up and about my family. Everyone who buys this book, and it's going to be huge, is flipping to the chapter called Moniker.
Yeah, right. And actually, I'll be doing it right at the Barnes & Noble. I'm not going to bother picking it up. I'm just going to look around and see if I see the word douche.
All right, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Is this the book? Is this new sympathy for Hillary Clinton? Is she the new victim again?
I think the problem there is the $8 million. That's going to come out that, she could have went on Barbara Walters anytime she wanted and talked about her feelings if she needed to get it off her chest. She never would have. She would have kept this for the rest of her life until somebody came along with the right price. One of the things that we liked about the Kennedys is that Jackie never felt the need to sit down and write, oh, I knew that he was up to something. It's too much. Who cares?
That was the classiness of the Kennedys that everyone admired.
Well, nobody was given $8 million in those days. You cannot. It's like everybody's going, Babe Ruth didn't do these commercials. Well, he didn't have the opportunities Michael Jordan did. Believe me, if Babe Ruth was around now, there'd be a Babe Ruth perfume.
I think that this makes everyone believe this fairy tale that Hillary Clinton's telling. I think they feel sorry for her all over again. Depending on the book sales, this could launch her into the 2004 presidential campaign that she says she's not going to be in.
I think she actually wrote in the book itself, I will not be there in the campaign. One of the things that I liked that came out about the book is she said that they were fighting and fighting until they just decided that she would run for senator, and then they had something to work for. And I'm like, yeah, I understand. The only way I could get out of the doghouse was take my chick to Acapulco. So, you know, you live on a bigger scale, you got to do something else.
Sure, let's talk about Mexico instead of the fight, instead of her.
All right, Fezzi, my vote for president, Martha Stewart. She pleads innocent to all charges. They came after her hard today. Martha Stewart will be indicted on charges of securities fraud, obstruction of justice, conspiracy, making false statements to prosecutors and the FBI. She was released without having to set bail because, you know, where is she going to run to?
Right, everyone knows Martha.
She faces at least up to 30 years in prison and a $2 million fine. Here's what her attorney says, though. This is all happening, this fierce against her, because she's a woman. What do you think, Fez?
I don't think it's because she's a woman. That's kind of shabby. I think it might be because she's a celebrity, but it's definitely not someone saying, you know what? Women in business, this is going too far. We've got to take these dames down a peg.
Maybe it's just the kind of woman that she is that they're going after.
And bitchy woman.
Well, it rhymes with blunt, so I cannot say it on the radio. But I think that's why they're going after her, because she has that reputation. And then, you know, a lot of people who, I don't know, hold up 7-Elevens and then they'll have to do 5 years, they're going, hey, I went after $340, and she goes after a ton and gets away with it. If
the government's serious about cleaning up corporate America, this is going to be the example they're going to put in front of everyone. No, the average American doesn't know what's going on with Kenneth Lay and Enron. All right? This is Martha Stewart. This is somebody that they can identify with, and, yeah, they're going to use her as an example.
But at the same time, it still isn't fair, right?
Probably not fair. I had no idea she was going to get hit with all this stuff. I thought she was going to get obstruction, and they threw the frickin' book at her on everything.
I'll tell you, if she does go to prison, she comes out of that bigger than ever. Because she will have that cell looking and smelling so nice, it's going to be unbelievable.
You can use lemons to make a shiv with.
And then she'll have a tiny little rock cutter that she just constantly bangs at for 30 years until she climbs out.
30 years later, Martha Stewart. Ronnie, Sammy Sosa, he keeps apologizing for his cork bat being discovered against the Tampa Bay Devil Rays last night, saying it was an honest mistake. He was ejected from the game, and then Major League Baseball confiscated all his bats in the dugout. They're going to check them all out now.
And that was just his pregame bat, his warm-up bat. And I'm like, all right, why do you need that? Why do you feel the need to cork your batting practice bat so you can jack them during batting practice?
Sammy says that's for the fans.
But that's still fake at this point. Now, Mikey D, he plays in a softball league, and he keeps a spring in his aluminum bat.
Nice.
So I know the way the game works. But I'll tell you this. Again, it's kind of a black eye for baseball. I thought he made a really, some smart moves coming out and apologizing right away and not letting this thing build and build and build.
Right. The worst thing you could do at this point is say, I didn't do anything.
Well, he came out and said he wants to apologize to all the fans. I just want to tell the fan, I'm sorry.
Who is this one fan he always talks to? Who is it?
The fan know how I feel. They know about Sammy. Sammy, good guy.
Chico Escuela ought to come out and make a statement. We'd understand him better.
And the fact of the matter is that most of these guys are already on steroids. Most of the home run hitters are already just jacked to the gills on steroids. So, but you know what's really weird about this? He was the #1 marketable baseball player in a recent survey. So any commercial endorsements, everybody wanted to go after Sammy Sosa first.
Everyone loves Sammy. He's cute. He's adorable.
And now here he is with a cork bat. Do you think it was an accident or not, Fez?
I think it was an accident. I think he does use the cork bat in home run practice and hitting practice. I think it was an accident.
No way. Nobody is going to walk out there and not think, you know what, I'm in a slump.
He's too nice.
I got jacked in the head earlier this year. I got my toenail torn off. F it. I'm taking somebody deep.
But at some point, Bud Selig, Paul Tagliabue, and everyone else, Stern in the NBA, they all have to come out like Vince McMahon and announce that their sports are fake.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it.
Eventually, it has to happen. Everything is fake.
Well, you know, the weird thing is this kind of actually even made me feel bad. But whenever I hear about a pitcher who brings out something to fool around with the ball, whether it's a gel or a little sander, you know, to get a little something extra out of the ball, I always love those stories, and I'm always like, hey, that's part of the game if he can get away with it. But then when I see Sammy Sosa jacking a bat, and maybe it's because of the steroid thing, but I want a home run to kind of be pure.
There was one guy, his bat broke and Super Balls bounced out of it one time. I can't remember who it was. But it's just hysterical and ridiculous. And how would you have the nerve to even try it, knowing there's a possibility that bat could shatter?
Well, that's one of the reasons they thought that maybe he didn't know, because he didn't try to hold on to the bat itself or quick run over. Oh, let me grab that bat. He just, ran it out. And you look at Sammy, and he was actually pouring water on his face while they were looking at the bat. He was so freaked out. He starts soaking his own ass down.
Someone has to revive Sammy. All right, who is like a celebrity or an athlete, someone in the public eye, who has disappointed you the most? I mean, this Sammy thing is hugely disappointing to people.
I'd have to say Monica Lewinsky. I just never thought that
You thought Mr. Personality would do better.
I don't know. How about for you, Fez?
My natural instinct is to say the President of the United States, George W., because I'm a huge W fan, and I'm really iffy on him over this war that we just went through.
Why still iffy? Why are you holding on to an if?
I'm still waiting for the weapons, man. I'm still waiting. But you know what? I think someone that I'm disappointed in is David Letterman.
Why Dave?
Because I think when Dave got an 11:30 spot, he would have destroyed Leno consistently. And I know he did like for the first year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought Dave would have whooped Leno's ass and continued to do it.
Fez, if you look at both shows, who does a better show?
Letterman does.
So what he has to do to get more of these dumb Americans to watch him is do a worse show. That's how you get people. People are going out and watching these stupid reality shows, and they're watching American Idol, and these shows stink. I don't take it personally when my guy does not beat Jay Leno. I just go, people are dumb.
Then I'm disappointed in dumb Americans.
Thank you. Now I'm with you.
Now, Sammy Sosa, a huge disappointment for his homeland, the Dominican Republic. They get some good news, along with the bad news yesterday. Miss Dominican Republic, Amelia Vega, she's crowned Miss Universe 2003.
Amelia Vega.
Thank you very much.
That's my date, Amelia Vega.
Although back on the bad news side, it was later found out she had corked her evening gown.
She corked her breasts. She corked the teats.
So, again, cheating for the Dominican.
What are you going to do? It's a third world country. Fezzy, here's my favorite story, I think, of the day. Spike Lee is suing Spike TV. Now, director Spike Lee, who has done, Do the Right Thing, and about, half a dozen movies?
Sure.
He's suing Viacom, our parent company, for its plans to rename TNN as Spike TV for the first cable network for men. Spike Lee said he never gave them permission to use his name.
Well, of course not.
And it's so obvious that the name refers to him. Lee has brought in sworn affidavits from Senator Bill Bradley, Ozzie Davis, and Ed Norton, all stating that they thought Spike TV referred to Spike Lee.
Ask any of my friends. Ask any of them. They think Spike TV is about me.
Spike, you leave Ozzie Davis alone. He's 90 years old.
I had no idea Ozzie was alive.
Of course he is. He's done Bill Cosby. He always shows up for any of those shows at all. I don't know if most people... is Spike that popular that if we were like playing Password and I went, Spike, would you go Lee?
No, I would say volleyball.
What about Spike Jones? How does he get away with it, the director?
I know everyone who has the name Spike is going to end up getting sued. This is ridiculous. I had heard this story that TNN was going to change to Spike TV, and I never in my wildest dreams thought, oh, Spike Lee, I hope I don't get confused
I was disappointed. I thought they were changing their name to Spy TV. And I go, this could be interesting if we're watching spies all day.
That's something to watch. I don't think Spike Lee has a case here. I don't think there's anything about this network that's screaming Spike Lee.
Well, I mean, you know, I can understand you can't change it to Elvis TV. We know who Elvis is. You know, even Madonna TV. But Spike is not that popular.
Yeah, you can't copyright, you know, a common name, a common nickname like that.
And his name isn't even Spike. That's not his, like, real name.
Right. No, his mama didn't name him Spike.
And when are you going to drop into that code word action that you're doing? His mama didn't name him. You wouldn't do that if he was a white guy.
I probably would. And Spike TV, I don't know, is there a better name for a guy network?
Oh, a million.
Butch TV.
How about Teats TV? So guys at least turn it on.
Butt-at TV.
How about you just call it Free Beer and Chicken TV? People would turn it on immediately. Spike TV is not a good name. And I'd be glad to drop that if I was TNN.
Do you think Spike Lee has a case?
No, not at all.
But
No.
what about the affidavits from Ozzy and Ed Norton?
Well, I'll be glad to look those over.
And Bill Bradley. You getting back in the political game, are you, Bill?
I can't seem to tell you how much the black vote he got last time, Fez, so he ought to stick with, yeah, I got to agree. Right away, I thought it was Spike Lee. What was I going to do?
Ronnie, accident with Barry Manilow involved. Apparently, Barry Manilow woke up disoriented in his Palm Springs home, thinking he was in his Malibu home. You know how that is, how rough that is. And he says he walked left instead of right while he was kind of sleepwalking, went right into a wall. He broke his nose, and this idiot knocked himself unconscious for 4 hours in the hallway with a busted nose.
No one does this unless they're high. I don't care where you are, but how... You've got to be high to do this.
I don't think he was high, but I'll put it this way. Someone's got to watch Grandma Manilow at this point, at this age. Someone better start watching Grandma Barry.
You know, I think that if he rammed his nose into a wall, it's because he was on all fours and he had a friend behind him. I think that's exactly what happened. He got bitch slapped by an old boyfriend.
And for Barry Manilow, for it to be his nose, I mean, the jokes are just there already.
Right. But again, what is this, 1978? How else is he going to get in the news? He's not that big.
Now he's got to fall down.
Exactly. And listen, you've gotten up at your house. You're in a hotel room. There's no possible way you're going to be heading so hard that you cannot... Was he puking?
I have no idea. He says he walked left instead of right. And you got to be walking at what, 30 miles an hour to bust your nose and knock yourself out for 4 hours?
How fast can he sashay at this point?
He's flying down this hallway.
What do you do, run in the Barbra Streisand on the way to the ladies' room?
And they bump beaks.
All right, we got to take a break. We'll be back with more, Fez.
That's right. When we come back, we'll tell you about Billy Bob Thornton. And you know his wedding ceremony, how kooky that was with Angelina Jolie? Wait till you hear about his divorce ceremony.
It's a wild one. It's on WJFK. It's the Ron and Fez Show.